Good morning, everybody. Kathy Hawk here from Clarity. I want to remember, and I'm going to right now, to thank all of you who are watching this at a time when it's not live. Um, just the fact that you're watching it really lights me up because this is important information for all of us to really know how to use a usable tool in these uncertain times. So that's what I thought I would back to where we were Monday and talk about what our energy feels. So I've drawn here um, a graphic of a field, and it's a round. It's not real round, but kind of oblong. But it's round because when you actually measure a field, an energy field, it is about 2.5 feet around you. So it is you. Let me move my chair here. It is you and the 2.5 feet around you. So you can actually measure energy patterns at the edge of a field. It's about 2.5 feet. And, we're in the middle of COVID right now when you go back and look at this in the future. And so now they know that even like a sneeze or a droplet goes out about 6 feet or more. Well, if you would think of that, if that's helpful for you to think of it like a droplet, your thoughts are very, very strong. And so sorry, we're going from COVID to thoughts. Your thoughts are very, very measurably most strong at the edges at about 2.5 feet out. Now they go further than that. That's why I put these other bubbles here, the other fields, so that, and you'll see this one's almost touching right there. So I better do this in a darker color for all of you. So this is about 2.5 feet. And this is your field, your personal field. So this is personal, just you. I always say you and the 2.5 feet around you. So that's your personal field. And in that, there are wave patterns that are measurable, because we're going to go over this again next Monday. But what is a thought? Did you ever wonder about that? I did. After all, here I'm teaching positive thought, and I thought to myself, what is the best way that I could define for you how a thought moves out of your head and goes somewhere else? Well, the first place it goes, of course, is into your body. That's your first receiver, like a radio signal. Like if I'm the radio station here and I send a broadcast, the first receiver is the closest, I'm going to say radio, which is here, your body. And then from there, it goes out, it radiates. And so this personal field has thought waves, because we know thoughts travel in waves through fields. Isn't that interesting? So your thoughts can go everywhere, but other people's thoughts can also go everywhere. And that's why that can be catching. That's why being with people who are a downer can affect you. It's like people that are positive can affect you. And because thoughts have traveled in waves through fields, and a wave looks like, let me do it in a different color so you'll remember it. Wave patterns look like this. Best representation. So we've got a wave most strongly at the edge of your field, and then you're communicating with a near field, And it has waves, and these waves bump into each other. They cross, just like a rip. Like, I think it's easier to think of it in water. Like if you're in a still pond and you make let's say drop a petal in here and drop a petal near it, the ripple effect, you'll see them, they'll cross, they'll interfere with one another. And so this is what I need you to know about your field and how your thoughts affect your field, positively or negatively, and how they also can go into other fields. And then the farthest field away from you, let's imagine that water metaphor that I just used, that picture. It takes longer to travel further away from you. So can you affect the fields with your thoughts? Yes, you can. And you can affect them positively or negatively. That's why thought leaders, like every one of you that's listening to this, would not be listening if you weren't dedicated to being a thought leader. And what does that mean? Having an influence and yourself in the fields around you. And that's why we're working so diligently in Clarity to help you to understand it so it's practical. Because, if I just said to you, yeah, thoughts travel in waves through fields and you influence people with your thoughts, you're just like, what? But if we draw a real picture, a mental picture of how they work, I know that you'll get it better, and how responsible you are for your own thoughts, for keeping your field strong and tight so that you don't leak your own energy, and how that affects the near field and how the near field affects you. So they travel back and forth. And they also travel all the way through into the remote field. But this is what I want you to think about for the weekend is, how is it that my thoughts, what I'm responsible for, how I think and how I spread my thoughts. So, there's I don't know why they made it female, but there's a thing that people will say, oh, she's a Debbie Downer. I don't know what the guy's name is in it, but the idea is, what they're saying is that culturally and behaviorally, we all understand that being around downed people can bring you down. Now, is there anything wrong with being down if someone's actually depressed and wants to share a thought? No, of course not. What I'm talking about is that their field is always negative and how that begins to affect other people. How is it when your field is positive and how that affects everybody as we go into the week of Thanksgiving, and where we give thanks for what are the positive things we can put into these fields. And I'm going to work on that with you next week, both Monday and Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. And so that this is a strong picture in your head about your energy and how it affects all the different fields. So that said, have an awesome weekend, a lights on weekend, one in which, even with all of the changes and restrictions that are happening, that you're able to look at it as precious time. What are the gifts in that time? What is it that I can do, you can do to be in service to the bigger field? And the most important one is how you send your thoughts. So have a great weekend. I will end the broadcast here. I will see you on Monday morning.